Hey guys, it's your Peacekeeper coming at you with an epic battle video in the USS Missouri. Yes, the credit printing USS Missouri. That's the one we're talking about. This fight is a Tier 9 fight on the map North, which is an absolutely ridiculously fun map to play. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. You can see their team has an Iowa and two Azumos, a North Carolina and a Gneisenau, to our Iowa, Missouri, Azumo, Mogami, Colorado. So we have kind of a little bit more diverse choice of battleships with which to engage. Of course, that poor Colorado is most likely feeling pretty slow compared to everybody else. But ultimately, he ends up doing pretty well. I don't think he ends up doing too bad. Like I said, 146,000 damage. And with North, a lot of the tendency for people to when they play battleships, a lot of the tendency for them is to charge A. We need to go get A. We need to go get A. Yeah, that works. We're over here with the New Orleans and Fletcher. Yep, Fletcher. And it's very likely that we could go cap it. We would, that's usually where the enemy is going to go as well. And we're going to find out that in this case, not so much. In fact, we see almost immediately off the start of the bat that the enemy ends up actually going to B, C, D instead of A, B, C. That's fine. We are going to announce that we're going to A, and we're going to take a little bit of a wide approach. And the reason why I'm taking the wide approach is ships have a tendency to turn out and back to the south, enemy ships that is. And I kind of want to put myself in a position that while they're making that turn, I can put rounds into the side of them while they're turning away. And that's, we've got enough speed and we got enough stealth. The Missouri with this captain, it's my Iowa captain, so he has a 12.2 kilometer detection range. And there you can see we're making our turn to go out wide. It's got that 12.2 kilometer detection range. Of course, we've got 33 knots of top speed plus the speed flag for 34.5 knots of speed. Of course, we never quite get all the way there. That's okay. Here's where we start to see them start to go ahead and we can see which direction they're going. I don't know for sure that they're planning on going anywhere else, but I'm reasonably confident. Now, that Iowa's broadside to me, and he's far enough away that, I probably should have held fire. 19 kilometers. Not going to get the best accuracy out of these guns, but you can see we still hit with 3 out of those shots and ended up doing roughly 6,000 damage. Not too shabby. Now that Azumo in the distance is shooting at me, and we disappear. Props to the stealth Iowa build. And we get enough time to put another salvo into the side of this Iowa. And in hindsight, I probably should aim just a touch lower and a touch less lead. This probably would have been an even more damaging shot than it was. And there you can see 12,670 damage. So these shells are hitting pretty good. We got 5 hits at that range of just over 15 kilometers. And that goes to show that these ships really have a good, inside that, up to about 15 kilometers, they have really good dispersion. Once you get beyond that, it starts opening up just a little too much to be really viable. Now, contemplating shooting at the Mahan, but ultimately, destroyers are kind of wasted shots, especially if there's other ships to shoot at. Now, it's obvious based on the map that there isn't going to be anything coming to A, so there's no reason for us to go to A. We are going to go ahead and go to B from here. And in the process of doing that, we have this Iowa that's going to be broadside to us this whole time. So we're going to make our left-hand turn. Oh, there you can see I used the little map glitch to make sure that I have my shot lined up. A little bit of bullet cam action here to see where those shells fall. And I got screwed by RNGesus. Probably should have aimed just a touch lower. That's alright. That's the risk we end up taking. A little bit of patience there, and I probably could have landed a bunch of big Citadel hits on him when he was in the open. It's a risk. When you get to playing, when you're almost to that 3,000 battle mark, you get real used to seeing where ships are at relative to their name bars. And you get used to that, and you can kind of predict where they're going to end up being. Now here I take a long shot at the Miyoko, again, using that, and we're going to use the rear gun to shoot at the Iowa. He's almost dead. Should kill him. But we get one shell hit before the shells actually hit. But, oh, that shell hit wasn't on the Iowa. It was on that Miyoko. Well, he ends up disappearing, and we don't know how much damage we really did to him. But had that Iowa lived, it probably would have gotten the kill credit for it. And that's what I was getting at with the names. You get real used to seeing where the ships are at relative to the names, and it gets very easy to shoot at ships when they're behind islands. And part of that was being in a destroyer. If you really want practice with that, play a destroyer. You can see I popped radar there, and that's because earlier in this match there was a destroyer playing around in the area between A and B. And I want to make sure that there aren't any destroyers there, because the last thing I want to do is run around the side of this island broadside to a destroyer and accept all of his torpedoes. There's a pretty low probability that he was there because our Fletcher had gone around the south side there on A, and, you know, he really did all the scouting for it. That doesn't mean there couldn't have been one right around the side of the island. Shooting at a broadside hipper, 2,700 damage. That turtleback armor scheme is totally troll-worthy. He's lucky he didn't receive more damaging hits than that. At this point, there's not a whole lot of ships for us to shoot at, so we're going to try and, you know, make up some of the distance here and use the speed of the Iowa to really chase down, one, this hipper, but two, to get ourselves into position. And the nice part about North is that once you're around these islands, so long as you stay close to them, it's very difficult to accept fire from, you know, multiple flanks. And with the Iowa, man, that really presents a very favorable profile. Now you can see there we're angling in that North Carolina tried shooting some, I believe it was HE at us. Yeah, I know he shoots HE at us later. But anyway, where I was going with that is you can put yourself in a position where you can't accept fire from any direction but where you're currently, you know, pointed to. And that really benefits the Iowa and the North Carolina on this map a lot. It's very difficult for a battleship to sneak rounds over the top of that island there, especially without a spotting plane. And most people don't run a spotting plane on their battleships at this level. Most of them run the fighter, simply because the fighter provides actually better scouting than the scouting plane does. There is a Miyoko off to our left here. You can see him down there in the island, right on the 7 line in the F square. I'm trying to get myself around this island to engage him. Now, of course, there's always a risk with that Izumo there. We want to make sure that we rudder over so that we keep ourselves angled to him, because right now we're at a very, very unfavorable profile. If that Izumo was paying attention, he would have kept his rounds just for us coming around this corner. And, well, there's the Miyoko coming out broadside. Was kind of hoping that that rear turret would be able to get into play, but it won't. Cruisers at 10K. Yep, Citadel and 27,665 damage in one salvo. Yes, the Mark 8 Super Heavy Shell does sufficient damage. You can also see I'm not pushing super aggressive at this point. One, I'm really hoping that this Shiratsuyu right there could provide me with some smoke. And two, I don't have really much support aside from the Fletcher off to my right, the Shiratsuyu in front of me. Frankly, it's just not worth that. Unfortunately, there's some torpedoes coming in. Oh, we got an overpen on that Miyoko. That's all we got. Shiratsuyu goes down. I don't know how he missed those. Well, sorry, I don't know how he hit those torps. Now, we obviously ate those torps. There was no way that we couldn't have avoided them. I would have had to have been going much faster to avoid taking damage from them. And now we've got a battleship way off to our far right. And he is currently tied up with our Fletcher. And, well, our Fletcher's coming back, so we need to turn ourselves and make sure we stay angled to all of the possible threats. This Izumo? No, not so much. Well, that's the Gneiss now. But that Izumo can't really shoot at us because the island is going to shoot too flat for that. We got an Otago coming around at point-blank range. This is very, very dangerous. Had this Otago chosen to go the other way, probably could have ended up killing me. Citadel hit. 14,850 damage to him. Fire off another salvo and he gets taken out by our Rune with a big hit. But had he turned towards me, there's probably little I could have done to actually take him out. Now I've got Izumo, and we got some Otago torps coming in, so he did launch some torps. Thankfully, the constant WAS and D'ing has thrown his aim off just enough for them to miss us. And we've got ourselves an Izumo coming out. Broadside, might I add. Yeah, he starts turning away. And shots impact, 2 bounces. Really? I never... That would have been a solid penetrating hit in closed beta. That just would not have had the problem that I did have there. You can see there that angling really helped out. We got ourselves another Zumo coming in. We want to get ourselves turned as soon as we possibly can. Thankfully, we do. Suzumo shoots at us. And we take no damage. All of them bounced. Broadside Mogami. Don't tempt me with a good time. And there you have a devastating strike. And you can see we are just melting away their team. 112,414 damage. And, you know, the Iowa, the Missouri, the North Carolina, and the Montana all really benefit from this kind of nose-on gameplay. Got a stationary Gneiss now up here. We definitely want to shoot at him. Just not anticipating the fact that he only, you know, he Titanicked himself. He didn't quite full-on beach himself, and as a result, we only get 2 overpens. 2,700 damage he returns. That was a superstructure hit, not an actual body hit, so we don't have to worry too much about that. Because he's going around that island, I'm not going to chase him around that island. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go around the the north side of this island here. And we got a Kagero behind us. I definitely want to... Kagero? Bigumo. Whatever, it's a Japanese destroyer. It's behind us, and we definitely need to make sure we get him taken out. Nice little smiley face there on the shell dispersion, but unfortunately no damage. 6 hits, so 100% accuracy in that one salvo. One was a penetrating hit that supposedly did damage, but no damage actually came up. And this is another instance where being a little bit more patient would have yielded probably much bigger hits. This North Carolina obviously opening up so he can turn north to go into the decap. Well, he doesn't get around the island quick enough. We get a salvo off while he's broadside. He's got us on fire twice. We're going to go ahead and burn our repair. You can see we did 20,655 damage to him. And didn't take a whole lot of damage from that Gneiss now on that hit, which is a good thing. Only a couple thousand damage, not too bad, but the Gneiss now has torpedoes, and we definitely want to pay attention to those torpedoes. Much like with the Otago, we want to go ahead and WSAD like a Madmo. We hit Confederate from a hit with the secondaries. Aiming at a Gneiss now with any battleship, you definitely want to aim at the upper superstructure unless he's presenting that broadside to you. That if he opens up to a full broadside, then you know he's, 1, launching torpedoes, and 2, you can aim at lower in the waterline and actually penetrate. There's his torpedoes. If we look at B, we can see that destroyer is behind us. There's no reason to chase this North Carolina to D. All of their ships are behind us with the exception of that North Carolina. We've got a Fletcher there in C who can go and get him, and I'm pretty confident in the way that this Fletcher's been playing. He knows what he's doing. And, yeah, we're going to ask him anyway, but you can tell he's being patient. And I don't know if this North Carolina has his plane up. I'm assuming not. But this Fletcher is going to get him anyway. What a perfect setup for torpedoes. There's not much that North Carolina can do to really stop it unless he gets a real lucky hit on the Fletcher. And we go back. Torps are out. Fletcher sinks him with minimal damage taken. So I don't know what the North Carolina was or wasn't paying attention to. It'd be kind of interesting to see this match from that Fletcher's perspective. But because this cap behind us was capped by B, we know that there's that destroyer there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to charge B again. And, oh, I'm detected. It was a destroyer. Wait a couple seconds. And go ahead and WASD. Pop radar. Oh, hey there, Yagumo. Sure would be a shame if somebody, hit you with some battleship shells. 5,400 damage. He's spotted for another 23 seconds. There isn't anything he can do about it. Secondaries are going off. We're not getting any hits, but everybody else is hitting him nice and hard. Again, we've changed directions in anticipation for his torpedoes. There they are. So that was a wise change in direction for us. And the Yagumo is now dead. Yes, radar is totally underpowered. Please buff. I would love to have longer than 9.5 kilometer radar, and I would love to have it last longer than the 30 seconds it currently lasts. And I'm just joking. It's perfectly balanced the way it is. And that's game end. I mean, talk about a pretty uneventful game. We didn't get a whole lot of kills, but we racked up that 146,826 damage, almost 147,000 damage. 55 shell hits? That's it for damage? And we got that much? Wow. 1940 base XP. There you can see almost all of our damage was done by our primary guns. We had a couple secondary hits. 655,000 credits. This thing definitely prints money. And I love the Iowa. I love the Missouri. The Missouri just makes the Iowa that much more fun to play because you get so many credits for it. Anyway, guys, I'm your Peacekeeper. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching.